If you enjoy stories like this, consider subscribing. Most people watching aren't subscribed yet. The chilling silence that often follows the mention of the Holocaust belies a cacophony of untold stories, a symphony of suffering, and, against all odds, a testament to the indomitable human spirit. Among the most heart-wrenching chapters of this dark period is the systematic extermination of children. Imagine a world where childhood itself became a death sentence, where innocence was deemed a threat, and where the architects of atrocity meticulously planned to erase an entire generation. The numbers are staggering, almost incomprehensible. An estimated 1.5 million young lives extinguished, their futures stolen, their laughter silenced forever. Yet, from this abyss of despair, a handful emerged, carrying burdens of memory and resilience that would shape their entire existence. This is not merely a recounting of historical facts. It is a journey into the profound personal odysseys of 3 such individuals, Maxwell, Helen, and Rose, whose lives, irrevocably scarred by the horrors they witnessed, would decades later converge with a relentless pursuit of truth, offering glimpses into the fates of those they lost. Their narratives are a stark reminder that even in the face of unimaginable evil, the human desire for connection, understanding, and ultimately peace endures. Maxwell Smart, born in the vibrant Jewish community of Poland in 1930, remembers a childhood abruptly shattered. His hometown, once a bustling hub of Jewish life, was home to approximately 8,000 souls. By the war's end, a mere 100 would remain. Maxwell was one of them. The year 1941 marked a terrifying turning point. 2 years into the global conflict, the Nazi war machine, having already swept through Western Europe, turned its brutal gaze eastward, invading Soviet-occupied Poland. The swift advance brought with it a new, chilling phase of persecution. Within days of the occupation of Maxwell's city, the systematic rounding up and persecution of Jewish citizens began. The fabric of his family life was torn apart almost immediately when his father was seized, vanishing without a trace into the Nazi apparatus, never to be seen again. The fear that permeated every aspect of their lives intensified, a constant, suffocating presence. Then, in early 1943, a series of brutal roundups swept through the city. 12-year-old Maxwell, his mother, and his infant sister found themselves caught in the dragnet, herded towards waiting trucks, their destination unknown, but their fate undeniably grim. As they were pushed forward, his mother, with his little sister clutched tightly in her arms, turned to him, her eyes pleading, her voice urgent. "You must run away," she whispered, a desperate plea that defied all logic in that moment of terror. Maxwell, a child himself, was bewildered. "Run away? Where would I go? You are my mother. You are supposed to protect me," he cried, his young mind unable to grasp the impossible choice she was making. Her response, delivered with heartbreaking finality, echoed the brutal reality of their situation. "I cannot protect you. I cannot help you. Please," she implored. "Walk away from the truck." In a blur of confusion and terror, Maxwell found himself outside the circle of trucks, walking towards an uncertain freedom, leaving behind the only family he had ever known. He never saw his mother or sister again. The question of their fate, of where those trucks led, would haunt him for the rest of his life. He could only surmise that they were taken to a place like Fedor Hill, a name whispered in hushed tones, a place where unspeakable acts were committed. The chilling reality of what transpired at sites like Fedor Hill is now being meticulously pieced together by dedicated teams of investigators. Patrice, a leading figure with the organization Yahad in Unum, spearheads efforts to document the Holocaust by bullets, a lesser-known but equally horrific aspect of the genocide where Jews were murdered en masse by firing squads, often in remote forests and ravines, long before the gas chambers became the primary method of extermination. His team's work involves interviewing non-Jewish witnesses, known as bystanders, who, often under duress or threat, observed these atrocities. Their testimonies, like that of Regina, paint a vivid and horrifying picture. Regina recounted being forced into a pit, only to be shot moments later, a chilling detail that underscores the brutality of these killings. At Fedor Hill, a wooded area on the outskirts of Maxwell's former home, the team conducts a forensic examination, searching for any tangible evidence of the massacres that occurred nearly 80 years ago. The ground, seemingly serene now, holds dark secrets. Within minutes, they uncover German cartridges dating back to 1939-1940, irrefutable proof of the violence that unfolded here. The discovery of a small mirror, likely belonging to a victim, further solidifies the grim picture. Patrice, with a heavy heart, concludes that this very spot could be where Maxwell's mother and sister met their tragic end. He explains that multiple mass graves exist here, containing the remains of at least 5,000 people from Maxwell's town, their bodies still interred beneath the earth. This painstaking work, documenting over 2,800 such sites across Eastern Europe, is a crucial step in ensuring that these victims are not forgotten, and that the full scope of the Holocaust by bullets is understood. Maxwell's mother, in her final selfless act, refused to take him with her, a decision that, however agonizing, allowed him to live. But survival, for a 12-year-old boy alone in a world consumed by war, was a brutal, solitary existence. With nowhere to turn, Maxwell sought refuge in the dense, unforgiving forests, digging himself a makeshift hole in the earth. For 6 long months, he lived like a phantom, his clothes disintegrating, his shoes replaced by rags tied with string. He became, in his own words, a human animal, a primal being driven solely by the instinct to survive. The profound misery of that isolation, the crushing weight of being utterly alone, would etch itself onto his soul, a wound that time could never fully heal. Yet, amidst this profound solitude, a flicker of hope, or perhaps just a desperate need for companionship, was about to emerge from the shadows of the forest. Meanwhile, in a different corner of Poland, Rose Handelsman, born in Lublin in 1929, recalled a childhood that for a time knew joy. She was, by her own admission, quite the cookie, a wild, spirited girl with long, curly blonde hair that her mother would painstakingly braid, only for it to come undone as Rose darted through the streets, playing hopscotch. Her days were filled with the simple pleasures of childhood, a stark contrast to the horrors that would soon engulf her world. Rose grew up on Groska Street, within Lublin's once vibrant Jewish quarter, a place now transformed beyond recognition. Decades later, returning with her granddaughters, she could barely reconcile the elegant hotel standing there with the home of her youth. She remembered her father, a gentle soul and a skilled tailor, and her mother, a bright, politically aware woman who often discussed the ominous news from Germany. "If we had the money, we would run," her mother would say, a lament that underscored their desperate predicament. But they didn't have the means, so they stayed, trapped by circumstance. Rose cherishes a single faded photograph, a poignant relic of her entire family: parents, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins. Out of 21 faces captured in that moment of innocence, only 2 would survive the coming storm. The memories it evoked were bittersweet, a painful reminder of a past irrevocably lost. She spoke of her little brother, Henrik, whom she adored and carried everywhere, and of her unwavering belief that her parents, like all parents, would keep their children safe. This naive hope, however, would soon be brutally shattered. The scene that unfolded in Lublin's market square was a chilling tableau repeated countless times across Nazi-occupied Poland. In October 1942, Rose, her mother, father, and brothers, along with thousands of other Jewish residents, were rounded up and herded into this vast, open space. Returning to the square 75 years later, Rose was overwhelmed by the ghosts of the past. "There were so many people here," she murmured, the memory still vivid, carrying their bags, believing they were being resettled. Then came the brutal division. Men separated from women, children from their mothers. Trucks arrived, and her father was torn away, his destination unknown. The trauma of that day left an indelible mark, manifesting in nightmares that would plague her for years, dreams of running from Germans, but always with her own children in tow, a testament to the enduring nature of fear. It never goes away completely, she reflected. It's always there. The separation from her father, right there in the square, was abrupt and final. She couldn't recall a goodbye, only the terrifying uncertainty of his fate. The only fragment of information she ever received was that he might have been taken to Majdanek, a notorious concentration camp. This single, unverified detail fueled a lifelong quest for answers, a desperate need to know the truth of what happened to her beloved father. She often found herself in fervent, desperate conversations with God, questioning the injustice, the suffering, the very reason for her existence as a Jew in such a world. The sheer scale of the atrocities, the systematic dehumanization, and the impossible choices forced upon families like Rose's painted a grim picture of a world turned upside down. Yet, even as Rose grappled with the fate of her father, another young survivor, Helen, was enduring her own harrowing ordeal, trapped within the suffocating confines of the Kovno ghetto, where the very act of being a child was considered a crime. Her story, too, would reveal the depths of Nazi cruelty and the extraordinary lengths to which a mother would go to protect her child, even if it meant a separation that would haunt them for a lifetime. Helen, born in Lithuania in 1934, then known by her birth name, Kaja Verblon Kite, was just 10 years old when the Nazis seized her city of Kovno. The entire Jewish population was forcibly confined to a segregated district, a ghetto, where life became a daily struggle against overcrowding, rampant hunger, and disease. Children were forbidden from attending school, their education replaced by the harsh realities of survival. Helen spent 3 agonizing years within the ghetto walls with her parents and her cherished little brother, Abraham, or Avram, as he was affectionately called in Yiddish. She became his primary caregiver, a child looking after a child in a world that offered no protection. Rare, haunting photographs from the Kovno ghetto depict Jewish children, their faces etched with a premature wisdom, their eyes reflecting a profound sadness. The Nazis, in their chillingly bureaucratic language, labelled them useless eaters, too young to contribute to forced labour, yet representing the future of the Jewish people, and therefore an enemy to be eradicated. Helen recalled a particular photograph of herself, taken when she was around 10 or 11, her biggest regret being that her brother wasn't by her side. That would have been a perfect thing, she lamented, explaining that there was no other picture of him, no tangible proof that he had ever existed, a void that spoke volumes about the fragility of memory and the brutality of loss. The morning of March 27, 1944, remains seared into Helen's memory, a day of unimaginable terror. Most of the Jewish parents had already left for forced labour, leaving the ghetto largely populated by children and the elderly. Suddenly, trucks laden with soldiers rumbled into the ghetto, accompanied by snarling dogs. Their mission, a kinder action, a systematic roundup of all children. The scene was pure pandemonium, a nightmare unfolding in broad daylight. Soldiers with guns barked orders, forcing mothers and their children onto the trucks. Helen stood with her brother, his back pressed against hers, when she heard the chilling command, "Let him go!" A dog lunged, its teeth sinking into her wrist, blood spurting from the wound. Involuntarily, she released her grip on Abraham. 2 guards immediately seized him, dragging him away. The image that would forever haunt her was his turning head, his eyes desperately searching for her, wondering if she would follow. "I wouldn't be sitting here if I would be following," she stated, the weight of that impossible choice still heavy after all these years. For reasons she could never comprehend, Helen was spared that day, but approximately 1,300 other children were not. Loud music was played through loudspeakers, a macabre attempt to drown out the screams of the terrified children and their distraught mothers. They were never seen again. Helen vowed never to return to Lithuania, the land that held such painful memories, a vow she kept for decades. Yet, the unanswered questions, particularly about Abraham's fate, gnawed at her, a constant ache in her soul. Her grandson, Andrew, recognizing the profound burden his grandmother carried, took it upon himself to journey to Lithuania, to confront the places she dared not revisit, to seek the answers that might bring her some semblance of peace. The guilt of losing her brother, that last desperate look, remained etched in her mind, a silent testament to the enduring trauma of that day. Andrew understood that while closure might be an elusive concept, knowing what truly happened to Abraham, a little Jewish boy killed simply for existing, was a vital step towards healing. The sheer brutality of the Kinder action, the calculated cruelty of targeting children, underscored the depths of Nazi depravity. Yet, even as Helen grappled with the ghost of her lost brother Maxwell, having survived his own harrowing escape, was about to encounter a profound test of his humanity in the unforgiving Polish forests. His journey, marked by profound loss and unexpected companionship, would soon lead him to an act of courage that would forever bind him to another life, and tragically, to another death. The dense forests outside Maxwell's former home, a sanctuary from the immediate terror of the trucks, quickly transformed into a crucible of survival. For a 12-year-old boy, stripped of family and home, every rustle of leaves, every distant sound, was a potential threat. It was in this desolate landscape that Maxwell, driven by an instinct for self-preservation, stumbled upon a natural rock overhang, a rudimentary shelter that he painstakingly deepened and camouflaged with branches. This became his hidden world, a precarious refuge from the relentless hunt for Jews. One day, a sound unfamiliar to the forest's usual symphony of nature broke the silence. Cautiously emerging from his hiding place, Maxwell saw a small boy wandering alone. A desperate hope surged through him. "Are you Jewish?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. The boy, equally startled, confirmed he was. "I am Jewish too," Maxwell revealed, a profound connection forged in shared vulnerability. The boy, whose name was Yanuk, recounted a story tragically similar to Maxwell's. His mother had vanished while searching for food, his father likewise. He had been wandering for 2 days, utterly alone, until he found Maxwell. Yanuk, a handsome, intelligent child with a remarkable aptitude for arithmetic, became Maxwell's first true companion in the wilderness. For the first time since his escape, Maxwell felt a flicker of genuine happiness. The crushing weight of solitude lifted, replaced by the warmth of friendship. He no longer cared how long they might have to remain in the woods. He had a friend. However, these forests, seemingly a haven, were anything but safe. Ukrainian police and local peasants, often incentivized by the Nazis with meager rewards like sugar and vodka, actively hunted Jews in hiding. For Patrice and his investigative team, this entire region was a vast, sprawling crime scene. Their meticulous sweeps of the area continued to yield grim discoveries. German cartridges, clearly marked with production years like 1940, were unearthed, silent witnesses to the violence that had transpired. "We have traces of the perpetrators," Patrice noted, explaining that these findings indicated shootings, likely of Jews who had sought refuge in the forest. The killers, in their chilling efficiency, never anticipated that anyone would return decades later to unearth the evidence of their crimes. The bond between Maxwell and Yanuk deepened with each passing day, a lifeline in a world determined to extinguish them. They played games of hopscotch and hide and seek, fleeting moments of childhood normalcy amidst the constant threat. "Kids, we were kids," Maxwell recalled, a poignant reminder of the innocence they desperately clung to. But their fragile sanctuary was destined to be shattered. Yanuk, Maxwell's cherished friend, would not survive the war. The memory of his loss and the profound guilt Maxwell carried would become an enduring shadow in his life. The weight of Yanuk's fate, a constant ache in Maxwell's heart, was compounded by a harrowing incident that would forever bind him to another life, and tragically, to another death. One day, the relative quiet of the forest was shattered by the sounds of distant gunfire, yelling, and commotion. After an agonizing silence, Maxwell urged Yanuk to investigate. Reluctantly, fear etched on his young face, Yannick agreed. What they discovered, just a few hundred feet from their bunker, was a scene of unimaginable horror. 7 lifeless bodies, stark red against the pristine white snow. As they cautiously examined each one, a flicker of movement across the river caught Maxwell's eye. A body, seemingly alive, stirred. Despite Yannick's terrified protests about the freezing water, Maxwell, driven by an inexplicable urgency, pulled his friend into the icy current. What they found on the other side would test the limits of their young courage and set in motion a chain of events that would forever alter Maxwell's perception of heroism and sacrifice. The body across the river was that of a woman, tragically deceased, shot in the back. Yet, cradled in her arms, a tiny baby stirred, alive. Maxwell, overcome with a surge of protective instinct, gently took the infant. With Yannick, shivering and soaked, they retreated across the river, the baby's cries echoing through the silent forest, a dangerous beacon in their precarious hiding place. The infant's wails posed an immediate threat, risking their discovery by the ever-present hunters. Miraculously, Maxwell managed to locate a nearby Jewish family also in hiding. Among them, he discovered, was the baby's aunt. With a heavy heart, he entrusted the child to her care, never to see the baby or her aunt again. Back in their bunker, the ordeal had taken its toll on Yannick. Shivering uncontrollably from the freezing water, he fell gravely ill. Maxwell, desperate, tried everything he could, hoping his friend would recover. But Yannick's condition worsened. He stopped moving. "He is dead," Maxwell recounted, his voice still heavy with grief decades later. "He was my life. He was the person I needed." The loss of Yannick, a friend forged in the crucible of shared suffering, left an unfillable void. Maxwell carried the burden of responsibility, believing his decision to cross the river had led to Yannick's demise. The names of the lost, his brother Abraham, his family, friends who would never grow up, became a litany of sorrow, leaving him feeling profoundly isolated. Meanwhile, Helen's grandson, Andrew, continued his poignant journey in Lithuania, seeking answers about his great-uncle Abraham. His path led him to the 9th fort outside Kaunas, Kovno, a site of unspeakable atrocities. Here, thousands upon thousands of Jews were systematically murdered. A local historian explained that when the Kaunas ghetto was established in 1941, it housed 30,000 Jews from the city and surrounding region. By 1944, only about 500 remained. The vast majority had been killed at sites like the 9th fort. The Nazis, in their chillingly pragmatic approach, selected the strong for forced labor, while the elderly and, most tragically, the children were deemed useless and marked for extermination. Disturbing rare photographs and scant documents offer only fragmented glimpses into the killing operations. The most tangible evidence of the victims are a few artifacts unearthed from the ground. A child's shoe, a toy bucket, poignant reminders of lives brutally cut short. Andrew was confronted with a wall riddled with bullet holes, a stark testament to the firing squads that executed countless victims. Standing there, he imagined the last terrifying moments of those who faced their killers in that very spot. The realization that his 5-year-old great-uncle Abraham could have been brought here, marched into this fort alone, and shot simply for being a Jewish child, overwhelmed him. The thought was almost unbearable, a visceral connection to a past he desperately sought to understand. The chilling reality of the 9th fort, a place where innocence was systematically extinguished, underscored the profound injustice of the Holocaust. Andrew's quest for truth, however, was not unique. Rose, haunted by the fate of her father, believed he had been taken to Majdanek, another infamous camp, and was now seeking to confirm her deepest fears. Her journey into the bureaucratic machinery of death would reveal the chilling efficiency with which the Nazis not only murdered, but also profited from their victims, leaving behind a legacy of unimaginable loss and a desperate need for answers. Rose's unwavering belief that her father, Laser Handelsman, a gentle tailor, had been taken to Majdanek, propelled her quest for truth. Built on the outskirts of Lublin, Majdanek was a vast concentration and extermination camp, capable of holding up to 45,000 Polish and Jewish prisoners at any given time. Rose hoped that Jakub, a dedicated researcher at the camp's archives, could provide some answers. She yearned for any scrap of information about her father's fate. Majdanek played a crucial role in Operation Reinhardt, the secret Nazi plan to systematically eliminate Poland's Jewish population, and in a chilling display of avarice, to profit from their murder by seizing their valuables and personal possessions. The camp became a massive sorting and storage depot for these looted goods. Tailors, like Rose's father, were deemed useful by the Nazis, not only for mending the confiscated clothes destined for Germany, but also for meticulously searching for hidden valuables sewn into linings and seams. Rose clung to the hope that her father's skill might have prolonged his life. However, Jakub's search yielded no documents confirming Laser Handelsman's presence at Majdanek. By November 1943, Operation Reinhardt had largely concluded, resulting in the deaths of nearly 2 million Polish Jews. With no more loot to be processed, the Jewish workers at Majdanek were no longer needed. All remaining Jewish prisoners were systematically executed during a single, horrific day of mass killings. More than 18,000 Jews were shot one by one in large pits on the camp's perimeter, their screams masked by loud music played through loudspeakers. A haunting photograph depicting thousands of Jewish inmates marching to their deaths is believed to capture this very event. Rose's father may have been among them, but the fate of her mother and brothers remained a terrifying mystery. Rose vividly recalled her mother's chilling premonition. "They are taking us to our death." Her mother, with a profound and heartbreaking clarity, had understood the ultimate destination of their journey. The stark reality of Majdanek, a place where life was extinguished with industrial efficiency, left Rose grappling with the unimaginable. Yet, even as she confronted the potential fate of her father, Helen, having narrowly escaped the Kinder action, was about to face another terrifying ordeal. Her journey, along with her mother, into the heart of the Nazi camp system, would reveal not only the depths of human cruelty, but also the extraordinary resilience of the human spirit, and a miraculous twist of fate that defied all logic. 4 months after Helen's little brother, Avram, was snatched from her arms during the Kinder action, the Kovno ghetto was brutally liquidated. Along with thousands of other Jewish residents, Helen and her parents were crammed into cattle cars, their destination unknown, their future uncertain. The journey was a terrifying blur of confinement and fear. When the train finally halted, and they were able to disembark, Helen's world was shattered once more. Her father was separated from them, sent to Dachau concentration camp, never to be seen again. Helen, just 11 years old, and her mother were then transported to Stutthof, another notorious camp. Upon arrival, they were immediately herded into a room filled with pipes and shower heads, a chillingly familiar setup for those aware of the gas chambers. Stripped naked, Helen and her mother stood clinging to each other, terrified, awaiting their fate. After agonizing minutes, water, not gas, began to flow from the shower heads. "So here I am sitting talking to you," Helen reflected, the memory still vivid. "I can't explain this, but I was there for the taking." According to Nazi procedure, an 11-year-old child like Helen should have been immediately sent to the gas chamber. Her survival was a profound anomaly, a question that had haunted her for decades. Her grandson, Andrew, determined to unravel this mystery, met with Danuta, a researcher at the Stutthof archives. Danuta presented Helen's original prisoner card. Andrew noticed a discrepancy. The birth year listed was 1927, making Helen 17, not 11. Danuta explained that such alterations were common. If a prisoner was deemed too young, their age might be falsified to make them appear fit for work, thus increasing their chances of survival. This seemingly minor change, a deliberate act of deception by someone within the system, had, in all likelihood, saved Helen's life. Had she appeared her true age, she would have been sent directly to her death. This small, almost imperceptible adjustment on a bureaucratic document was perhaps the most crucial factor in her extraordinary survival. Helen and her mother, now deemed fit for labour, were transferred to one of Stutthof's subcamps. The work was brutal, heavy labour from dawn till dusk, digging trenches, a life devoid of light or hope. Yet, amidst this darkness, a profound connection was forged. Helen met Riva, another young girl from the Kovno ghetto, the same age, sharing a tragically similar history. Both had lost little brothers. They found solace in each other's company, chatting about their lost siblings, becoming as close as family. She had me and I had her, Helen recalled, a testament to the power of human connection in the most inhumane of circumstances. For 75 years, Helen never forgot Riva, her friend, from the depths of the Holocaust. Andrew, aware of his grandmother's enduring bond, sought out more information about Riva, whose last name was Rubin. The archives confirmed their shared arrival date at Stutthof, both from Kaunas. Danuta even found Riva's signature, a child's cursive, a poignant reminder of the girl she once was. The discovery of Riva's card was as close as Helen could get to having her friend back, a tangible link to a past that refused to fade. The discovery of Riva's card, a fragile piece of paper holding the ghost of a friendship, brought a bittersweet comfort to Helen. Yet, the profound guilt she carried, not only for her own survival, but for the loss of her friend, remained a heavy burden. Meanwhile, Maxwell, still haunted by the death of Januk, his young companion in the forest, embarked on his own pilgrimage, a desperate search for any living soul who might remember his friend, a quest that would lead him across continents to the very heart of memory and remembrance. Maxwell's enduring guilt over Januk's death, the belief that his friend perished because of his decision to save the baby, propelled him on a profound journey. He yearned to find any living person who remembered Januk, to somehow clear his conscience, even if only partially. His destination, Israel, a land that had become a sanctuary for survivors and a repository of memory. He arrived at Yad Vashem in Jerusalem, the World Holocaust Remembrance Center, a place dedicated to preserving the stories of the 6 million. Within its hallowed halls lies the Hall of Names, a colossal undertaking to identify every single Jewish victim of the Holocaust. Here, binders filled with millions of pages of testimony, declarations from those who knew the victims, line the walls, each page a testament to a life brutally cut short. Researchers at Yad Vashem are relentlessly working to identify the more than 1 million victims whose names remain unknown, many of them children. Their vast database offered Maxwell a glimmer of hope. He explained his quest to a researcher. He had hidden with a boy named Januk in the Buch area of Poland, about 15 miles away. The researcher, meticulously sifting through the database, found a potential match, Januk Aber, born in 1931 in Zoev, who had lived in the Buch area. Maxwell, born in 1930, remembered being older than Januk. Then, a photograph appeared on the screen. Maxwell's breath caught. "I'm telling you, he looked like that," he whispered, his eyes fixed on the image. The eyes, the expression of the eyes. "This is Januk." He recalled Januk's perpetually sad gaze, a reflection of the tragic life he led. The researcher then revealed a crucial detail. A page of testimony had been filed by Shimon Sheferis, Januk's nephew, and an address in Israel was listed. Maxwell's heart pounded. "I would like to speak to this man," he declared, a lifetime of unanswered questions suddenly within reach. Meanwhile, Helen, still grappling with the profound loss of Riva, recounted the harrowing circumstances of her friend's death. "Oh yes, I was there," she confirmed. "Riva died, and I was lying right beside her when she passed away." Helen and Riva had miraculously survived the brutal Stutthof work camps, enduring unimaginable hardships until the very final stages of the war. In January 1945, as the Soviet army advanced on Poland, the Nazis, in a desperate attempt to conceal their crimes, began evacuating the camps. Prisoners were either forced on brutal death marches towards Germany or summarily executed in the camps. Helen, Riva, and their mothers were among those selected for immediate death. They were ordered to lie down on the bare floor and injected with an unknown substance. Helen believed it was the end. Yet she survived. Andrew, her grandson, returned to Stutthof to uncover the truth behind this miraculous survival. Denuda, the archivist, revealed a shocking detail. The injection was indeed phenol, a deadly poison used to kill prisoners. However, a Hungarian doctor, herself a prisoner, had been forced by the SS to administer the injections. In an extraordinary act of defiance and compassion, she had given them a smaller, non-lethal dose, hoping they would survive. This incredible revelation explained Helen's survival, a testament to a hidden act of heroism amidst the horror. Helen and her mother survived, but Riva and her mother, weakened by their ordeal, succumbed weeks after the camp's liberation by the Russians. Helen never forgot Riva's last words to her. She had a little brother, given away to a non-Jewish family for safety. Thousands of Jewish parents had made this agonizing choice, hoping their children would survive, only to never see them again. Helen wondered about Riva's brother, his fate, who raised him, and if he had ever been reclaimed. The revelation of the Hungarian doctor's courageous act, a beacon of humanity, in the darkest of times, offered Helen a profound understanding of her survival. Yet, the mystery of Riva's lost brother, a child given away in a desperate act of love, continued to haunt her. Could this hidden child, a ghost from the past, still be alive? The possibility, however remote, ignited a new quest, a search for a connection that could bridge the chasm of 75 years and bring a measure of peace to Helen's enduring grief. At Yad Vashem, the search for Riva's brother began. Dr. Abraham, a dedicated researcher, meticulously scoured the database of 4.8 million victim names, searching for any match for Riva. He found a Rivka Rubin from Kaunas, born in 1931, with a record indicating her death in the area. The page of testimony, submitted in 1999, included a photograph taken years before the war. The testimony was filed by Elhanan Rubin, identified as Rivka's brother. Helen's heart pounded as she looked at the faded image. "Oh my God," she exclaimed, recognizing her friend. "What a beautiful girl! She looks like a princess." The discovery was overwhelming, a miracle. "We found Riva's brother," Dr. Abraham announced. Helen was stunned. "Oh my God, how did you... What miracle?" she stammered, tears welling up. The thought of meeting him, of connecting with a living piece of Riva, was almost too much to bear. Elhanan Rubin, Riva's little brother, had been just 6 years old when his mother and sister, in a desperate act of love, left him with a Polish family before their deportation to the camp. After the war, no one came to claim him. He had spent his entire life wondering about his family, searching for someone who knew his sister. Now, after 75 years, the moment had arrived. Helen and Elhanan met, a profoundly emotional encounter. "Oh my God, this is like a dream," Helen whispered, embracing him. "Your mother and your sister upstairs in heaven are looking down smiling." Helen, with a heavy heart, shared the painful details of Riva's death, the lethal injections, the lack of medical care after liberation. Elhanan listened, his face etched with sorrow, finally understanding the full tragedy of his sister's last days. He learned that Riva's body had been taken away by a horse and buggy, her final resting place unknown. Andrew, Helen's grandson, continued his pilgrimage, driving 2 hours south of Stutthof to a small town. His grandmother had described a school building where she and Riva were housed after liberation, a place where they lay side by side for weeks, talking about their lost brothers. Andrew found a building that matched the description, a poignant echo of his grandmother's memory. Just across the street, a cemetery stood, a possible final resting place for Riva. While he knew a Jewish girl in 1945 might not have received a marked grave, he found solace in paying his respects, a gesture of remembrance on his grandmother's behalf. The baby, the one Maxwell and Yannick had saved, remained a powerful symbol for Maxwell. a source of both profound guilt and a desperate hope for redemption. "The baby carries a guilt in me," he confessed, "that Yannick died because of me pulling him into that water and for nothing. If that baby were alive, it would mean Yannick hadn't died in vain. He would be a hero." Maxwell met with Natasha Nielska, a Holocaust investigator, who had spent weeks meticulously scouring maps, documents, and testimonies in search of the baby. The task was daunting, with no name, no identity, only fragments of a story. Natasha, however, had found 2 girls who survived the war, hiding on a riverbank, their stories eerily similar to Maxwell's account. One of them had even written a book, recalling her mother's death and her escape across a river. "I have a feeling," Maxwell declared, his voice trembling with emotion. "She's the girl. She's the girl for sure." The possibility that the baby was alive, that Yannick's sacrifice had indeed saved a life, meant everything to Maxwell. It meant freedom from guilt, a profound sense of purpose. The revelation that the baby, a ghost from Maxwell's past, might still be alive, brought a wave of overwhelming emotion, a profound sense of hope and trepidation. Could he truly face her after all these years? The weight of Yannick's sacrifice, the decades of guilt, now hung in the balance. Meanwhile, Rose, still haunted by the fate of her mother and little brother, Hennick, was about to embark on the most agonizing part of her journey, retracing their final steps to Sobibor, an extermination camp shrouded in secrecy, a place where the very earth cried out with the stories of the lost. Part 4. Confronting the past. Finding redemption. Maxwell's heart pounded with a mixture of anticipation and dread as he prepared to meet Tova Barkai in Haifa, Israel. This was the baby, now an elderly woman, whom he and Yannick had saved 76 years ago. The weight of that moment, the decades of guilt and unanswered questions, pressed down on him. Tova's family, unaware of the true circumstances of her survival, were about to hear a story that would forever alter their understanding of her past. As Maxwell was introduced, he looked at Tova, a woman whose life was a direct consequence of his youthful courage. "You recognize me?" he asked in Yiddish, a language that bridged the vast expanse of time. "I saved you." Tova, though struggling for words, recognized something in his eyes, a profound connection. "It was lucky," Maxwell continued, recounting the freezing river, the dead mother, the 2 boys who pulled her from the brink. "You owe him your life," he told her, referring to Yannick. Tova reached out, touching his hand, a gesture of profound understanding. "It will be good," she whispered, her words a balm to Maxwell's tormented soul. In that moment, the decades of guilt began to lift. Yannick, his friend, was indeed a hero. He had died for something, for someone. Tova, with her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, was a living testament to his sacrifice, a continuation of life, a victory against the forces of annihilation. The embrace they shared was more than just a greeting. It was a release, a profound moment of shared humanity and redemption. Meanwhile, Rose, driven by an unyielding need to understand the final moments of her mother and little brother, Hennick, embarked on a harrowing journey to Sobibor. This extermination camp, nestled deep within the forests of Poland, near the modern border of Belarus, was one of the most remote and secretive of all Nazi killing sites. The Nazis had meticulously razed it to the ground in late 1943, attempting to erase all evidence of their horrific crimes. Yet, remnants of the unspeakable still lingered. A rare photograph from 1942 depicted Sobibor when it was operational, showing the train station where Rose's mother and Hennick would have disembarked from the boxcars. The Nazis, with their cruel deception, would instruct new arrivals to surrender their valuables, promising their return, a lie designed to maintain order and prevent panic. Jewelry was melted down, clothing redistributed, all part of the self-financed machinery of the Holocaust. Rose, 77 years later, walked the same path her mother and brother had taken, a path that led directly to the gas chambers. "Here they told them to undress," she recounted, her voice heavy with emotion, and they told them to walk there. It was a path the Germans chillingly referred to as the road to heaven. The chilling walk along the road to heaven, a path of no return, brought Rose face to face with the unimaginable fate of her family. The sheer scale of the deception, the calculated cruelty, underscored the depths of Nazi depravity. Yet, even as Rose grappled with the ghosts of Sobibor, Helen, having found Riva's brother, was about to confront another profound truth about her friend's final moments, a truth that would reveal the enduring power of memory and the desperate hope for connection in a world scarred by loss. The path Rose's mother and Henrik walked at Sobibor no longer exists in its original form. It was deliberately designed to curve through the camp, preventing victims from seeing their ultimate destination. Lined with barbed wire and camouflaged with pine branches, it led directly to 4 gas chambers. Rose imagined her mother, holding Henrik, walking that path, her mind perhaps already comprehending their fate, yet finding a desperate strength to save her other child. If Hitler had his way, I would have died right here, Rose reflected, her voice trembling. And if my mother wasn't the woman that she was, with the wisdom and knowledge and love, if she wouldn't have pushed me off the road, I would have been buried with everybody here, and you would have never existed. Her words were a direct address to her granddaughter, a powerful testament to the legacy of survival. 9 mass graves were discovered at Sobibor, now covered by a field of memorial stones. Rose performed Kaddish, the Hebrew prayer of mourning, for her mother, Dora Hack, her father, Easy Handelsman, her beloved little brother, Henrik, and all her other relatives lost in the Holocaust. Let's hope the world has learned its lessons, she prayed, that it should never, ever happen again. Helen, having met Elhanan Rubin, Riva's brother, felt a profound connection. Rivera told me that she has a little brother that was given away to the Christians, Helen explained, recalling her friend's words. And it made a big impression on me because I had a young brother that was taken away in the Kinderaction. The 2 children, Elhanan and Helen's brother, Avram, shared a tragically similar fate, separated from their families in desperate attempts to save them. Helen's granddaughter reflected on the significance of this meeting. My grandmother and Riva probably thought that their brothers did not survive the Holocaust. I think it'll be closure for my grandmother to know that Riva's little brother survived. The meeting between Helen and Elhanan, 2 individuals whose lives were forever intertwined by the shared tragedy of their lost siblings, was a powerful moment of healing and connection. Elhanan, seeing in Helen a piece of his lost sister, expressed his profound joy. I feel for you a piece from my sister, he told her. I see my sister and I very happy that I met you. The profound connection forged between Helen and Elhanan, a testament to the enduring bonds of family and friendship, offered a glimmer of hope amidst the lingering shadows of the past. Yet, the journey of remembrance was far from over. The survivors, now among the last living witnesses, carried not only the weight of their own experiences, but also the responsibility of ensuring that the lessons of the Holocaust, however painful, would never be forgotten. Their final reflections, born from unimaginable suffering, would offer a powerful message for future generations, a call to vigilance against the resurgence of hatred and indifference. The profound encounters Maxwell, Helen, and Rose experienced, Maxwell's reunion with Tova, the baby he saved, Helen's meeting with Elhanan, her friend Riva's brother, and Rose's harrowing journey to Sobibor, were not merely personal milestones. They were powerful acts of remembrance, each thread woven into the larger tapestry of Holocaust history, ensuring that the individual stories, often overshadowed by the sheer scale of the tragedy, would not be lost. These moments of connection, decades in the making, offered not only a measure of peace to the survivors, but also invaluable insights for historians and future generations. The meticulous work of investigators like Patrice and Natasha, and the comprehensive archives of institutions like Yad Vashem, played an indispensable role in making these reunions and discoveries possible. Their dedication to unearthing the truth, often from fragmented records and fading memories, underscores the critical importance of historical preservation and the relentless pursuit of justice, even long after the perpetrators are gone. The narratives of these survivors serve as a stark reminder that the Holocaust was not an abstract event, but a deeply personal catastrophe, impacting millions of individual lives, each with its own unique story of loss, courage, and an unwavering will to endure. The emotional weight of these journeys was immense. Maxwell, having carried the burden of Yannick's death for nearly 8 decades, found a profound release in meeting Tova. Her existence, her vibrant life, transformed Yannick's sacrifice from a tragic loss into an act of heroism. This shift in perspective was not merely psychological, it was a reframing of history, a testament to the ripple effect of individual actions, even in the darkest of times. His tears, mingled with joy, were a testament to the healing power of truth and connection. Similarly, Helen's encounter with Elhanan brought a tangible piece of Riva back into her life. The shared grief, the mutual understanding of what it meant to lose a sibling in such a brutal manner, forged an immediate and unbreakable bond. Elhanan, having grown up without knowing his sister's fate, finally received the painful but necessary truth from Helen, a truth that allowed him to mourn and to connect with the memory of his family. These reunions were not about erasing the past, but about integrating it, understanding it, and finding a way to live with its indelible mark. They underscored the enduring human need for family, for connection, and for the knowledge of one's origins, however painful those origins might be. Yet even as these profound connections were forged, the survivors carried a collective message, a warning born from the crucible of their experiences. Their voices, now among the last to bear direct witness, resonated with an urgency that transcended personal narratives, speaking to the very future of humanity. What profound lessons, forged in the fires of unimaginable suffering, did they wish to impart to a world that often seemed prone to forgetting the darkest chapters of its history? Their final reflections would serve as a powerful testament to the enduring struggle against hatred and indifference, a call to action for all who would listen. Rose, standing on the hallowed ground of Sobibor, where her mother and brother met their end, articulated a powerful message for her granddaughter and for all future generations. Her mother's final selfless act, pushing Rose off the road to certain death, was not just an act of love, but an act of profound wisdom, a desperate gamble for the continuation of life. "If my mother wasn't the woman that she was, you would have never existed," Rose declared, emphasizing the direct lineage of survival, the profound responsibility that came with being alive. Her grandchildren and great-grandchildren were living proof that Hitler had not won, that life, against all odds, had triumphed. This legacy of survival, however, came with a solemn duty: to remember, to bear witness, and to ensure that such atrocities never happen again. The Kaddish she recited at Sobibor, naming her lost family members, was not just a prayer for the dead, but a defiant affirmation of their existence, a refusal to let them be forgotten. It was a plea to the world to learn from its darkest chapter, to cultivate empathy, and to stand vigilant against the insidious creep of hatred. Helen, reflecting on her own journey and the profound changes she had witnessed, offered a similar, resolute message. "The Jew of yesterday does not exist today," she stated with conviction. "Nobody is going to walk and let them kill us like that. Never again." This was not a call for vengeance, but a powerful assertion of dignity, resilience, and self-determination. It was a declaration that the lessons of the Holocaust had been learned, that a new generation would stand firm against persecution. The survivors, though aged and bearing the scars of their past, were not victims but powerful voices, living monuments to human endurance. Their stories, once hidden in the depths of trauma, were now brought into the light, shared with a world that desperately needed to hear them. The simple act of Maxwell hugging Tova, of Helen connecting with Elhanan, of Rose sharing her mother's final wisdom, transcended individual narratives. These were moments of profound human connection, bridging generations and offering a powerful antidote to the dehumanization that defined the Holocaust. The unwavering resolve of these survivors, their powerful declaration of never again, resonated with an urgency that transcended their personal pain. Yet, the question remained: how would their stories, their profound experiences of loss and resilience, be carried forward? How would future generations, far removed from the direct horrors of the Holocaust, truly grasp the depth of its lessons and ensure that the echoes of the past served as a perpetual warning? The answer lay not just in remembrance, but in the active transmission of their truths, ensuring that the flame of memory, however fragile, would continue to burn brightly. The responsibility of carrying forward the stories of the Holocaust, once solely borne by the survivors, now increasingly falls upon their descendants and dedicated educators. Andrew, Helen's grandson, and Rose's granddaughters are living embodiments of this generational transfer of memory. Their active participation in these journeys of discovery is not merely an act of familial duty, but a profound commitment to historical truth. They represent the bridge between the past and the future, ensuring that the lessons learned from unimaginable suffering are not relegated to dusty history books, but remain vibrant, relevant, and deeply personal. The emotional impact on these younger generations is palpable. Andrew, standing at the Ninth Fort, grappling with the thought of his 5-year-old great-uncle Abraham being murdered there, experienced a visceral connection to the past that no textbook could ever convey. Rose's granddaughters, witnessing her pain and resilience at Sobibor, understood the profound legacy of their family's survival. These experiences transform abstract historical facts into deeply felt personal narratives, fostering empathy and a profound understanding of the human cost of hatred. The work of institutions like Yad Vashem and organizations like Yahad in Unum becomes even more critical as the number of living survivors dwindles. Their meticulous documentation, the collection of testimonies, and the preservation of artifacts ensure that the voices of the victims and survivors continue to speak across time. The Hall of Names at Yad Vashem, with its millions of pages of testimony, is not just an archive. It is a sacred space where individual lives are honored and their stories are kept alive. The ongoing efforts to identify every single victim, even decades later, underscore a fundamental human need to acknowledge every life lost, to restore dignity to those who were systematically dehumanized. This commitment to individual remembrance is a powerful counter-narrative to the Nazis' attempt to erase entire communities. It asserts that every life mattered and every story deserves to be told. Yet, even with these dedicated efforts, the challenge remains immense. How do we ensure that the profound lessons of the Holocaust resonate with a world increasingly fragmented, often prone to historical revisionism and the resurgence of old hatreds? The survivors, in their final poignant reflections, offered not just a recounting of their past, but a powerful, urgent message for the future, a call to action that transcended their personal pain and spoke to the very essence of human responsibility. What enduring wisdom, forged in the crucible of unimaginable suffering, did they wish to impart to a world that often seemed to forget the darkest chapters of its history? The survivors, in their final reflections, offered a powerful, unified message: never again. This phrase, often repeated, carries an immense weight when spoken by those who lived through the unimaginable. It is not merely a slogan, but a solemn vow, a desperate plea for humanity to learn from its darkest chapter. Helen's assertion that the Jew of yesterday does not exist today speaks to a profound transformation, a collective resolve to resist persecution and to stand firm against hatred. This resilience, born from the ashes of genocide, is a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit. Maxwell's joy in seeing Tova, a living symbol of Yannick's heroism, and Rose's profound gratitude for her mother's sacrifice, underscore the ultimate triumph of life over death, of hope over despair. These personal victories, however small in the grand scheme of history, are powerful affirmations of humanity's capacity for good, even in the face of overwhelming evil. The transmission of these stories, through documentaries, educational programs, and personal testimonies, is vital. It ensures that the Holocaust remains a living memory, a constant warning against the dangers of unchecked hatred, prejudice, and indifference. The laughter shared between Helen and her granddaughter over a cell phone, the embrace between Maxwell and Tova, the Kaddish recited by Rose. These are not just individual moments, but powerful symbols of continuity, of life persisting and thriving despite attempts to extinguish it. They remind us that while the past can never be undone, its lessons can shape a more just and compassionate future. The responsibility lies with all of us to listen, to remember, and to act. As the last generation of direct witnesses slowly fades, the urgency of this mission intensifies. How do we ensure that their voices, their warnings, and their profound wisdom continue to resonate with future generations, inspiring vigilance and empathy in a world that often seems prone to forgetting? The answer lies not just in passive remembrance, but in active engagement, in understanding that the stories of Maxwell, Helen, and Rose are not just history, but a living testament to the enduring struggle for human dignity and the perpetual call for never again. The profound journeys undertaken by Maxwell, Helen, and Rose, culminating in moments of both heartbreaking truth and unexpected solace, underscore a critical imperative for humanity: the active and continuous engagement with the lessons of the Holocaust. Their stories are not merely historical accounts, they are living narratives, imbued with the raw emotion of survival and the enduring weight of memory. As the last generation of direct witnesses to the Holocaust gradually passes, the responsibility for carrying forward their truths shifts to us. This is not a passive inheritance, but an active duty: to listen, to learn, and to ensure that the echoes of their experiences resonate with clarity and urgency in an ever-changing world. The meticulous work of investigators, archivists, and educators who painstakingly piece together fragments of the past becomes an act of profound moral significance, ensuring that the individual lives lost are never reduced to mere statistics, and that the mechanisms of genocide are understood and guarded against. The emotional impact of these discoveries on the survivors themselves, even after decades, is a testament to the enduring power of trauma and the human need for closure. Maxwell's liberation from guilt upon meeting Tova, Helen's profound connection with Elhanan, and Rose's poignant Kaddish at Sobibor are not just personal moments of healing. They are powerful demonstrations of how confronting the past, however painful, can lead to a measure of peace and a renewed sense of purpose. These individuals, who once bore the silent burden of their memories, have transformed into powerful advocates for remembrance, their voices serving as a vital bulwark against historical revisionism and the insidious creep of denial. Their resilience, forged in the crucible of unimaginable suffering, offers a profound lesson in the strength of the human spirit and its capacity to rebuild, to connect, and to find meaning even after the most devastating losses. Yet, the question remains: how do we translate these deeply personal narratives into a collective consciousness that actively resists the seeds of hatred and intolerance? How do we ensure that the profound wisdom gleaned from the Holocaust becomes an integral part of our global moral compass, guiding future generations away from the precipice of similar atrocities? The answer lies not just in remembering the past, but in actively shaping a future where the phrase "never again" is not merely a slogan, but a lived reality, a constant vigilance against the forces that seek to divide and destroy. The legacy of Maxwell, Helen, and Rose is not just about their individual survival. It is about the survival of memory itself. Their stories, now shared with the world, serve as a potent reminder that the Holocaust was not an isolated historical event, but a chilling demonstration of what can happen when hatred is allowed to fester, when indifference becomes complicity, and when human dignity is systematically stripped away. The profound connections forged in their later years, Maxwell's embrace with Tova, Helen's meeting with Reva's brother, Rose's powerful Kaddish, are not just personal triumphs, but symbolic victories against the forces that sought to erase their very existence. They are living proof that love, connection, and the pursuit of truth can, in the end, prevail over the darkest chapters of human history. Their message, delivered with the weight of lived experience, is a universal call to action. It implores us to cultivate empathy, to challenge prejudice, and to stand up against injustice wherever it may arise. It reminds us that the fight against hatred is an ongoing one, requiring constant vigilance and a commitment to human rights for all. The laughter of Helen with her granddaughter, the quiet strength in Maxwell's eyes, the unwavering resolve in Rose's voice. These are the enduring images of a generation that refused to be silenced, a generation that transformed their pain into a powerful plea for a better future. Their stories are a testament to the power of memory, a beacon guiding us towards a world where such atrocities are truly consigned to the past, never to be repeated. As we reflect on the incredible journeys of these survivors, their resilience, their courage, and their unwavering commitment to truth, a final profound question emerges. What does it truly mean to carry their legacy forward? Is it enough to simply remember, or does it demand a more active, transformative engagement with the world around us? The answer, perhaps, lies in understanding that their stories are not just about what happened, but about what must never happen again. A perpetual call to action for every generation to come. Part 8. The unwritten chapters and the call to action. The narratives of Maxwell, Helen, and Rose, while offering profound insights and moments of closure, also leave us with a sense of the unwritten chapters, the countless stories that will forever remain untold. The 1.5 million children who perished in the Holocaust represent an unimaginable loss of potential, of dreams unfulfilled, of futures brutally stolen. Their absence is a gaping wound in the fabric of humanity, a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the devastating consequences of unchecked hatred. The survivors, in their later years, often spoke not just of their own experiences, but of the ghosts of those they lost, the little brothers, the mothers, the fathers, the friends, whose memories they carried as a sacred trust. This collective remembrance, the act of speaking their names and recounting their fates, becomes a powerful act of defiance against the perpetrators who sought to erase them from history. The emotional and psychological scars of the Holocaust are not easily healed, even after decades. The guilt, the nightmares, the profound sense of isolation that many survivors experienced are a testament to the enduring trauma of such an event. Yet, their willingness to share their stories, to revisit the darkest corners of their past, is an extraordinary act of courage and generosity. They do so not for personal gain, but out of a deep-seated conviction that their experiences hold vital lessons for humanity. Their voices, though fewer with each passing year, resonate with an urgency that transcends time, a powerful warning against the dangers of prejudice, discrimination, and the dehumanization of any group. The simple act of listening to their testimonies, of bearing witness to their truths, becomes a profound act of solidarity and a commitment to ensuring that such atrocities are never repeated. As we absorb the weight of their stories, the profound losses, and the miraculous acts of survival, a final, crucial question emerges for each of us. What is our individual responsibility in carrying forward this legacy? Is it enough to simply acknowledge the past? Or are we called to a more active, vigilant role in shaping a future where the lessons of the Holocaust are not just remembered, but deeply integrated into our collective conscience, guiding our actions and our choices every single day? The answer lies in understanding that the fight against hatred is an ongoing one, demanding constant engagement and an unwavering commitment to justice and human dignity. The enduring message from Maxwell, Helen, and Rose is a powerful call to action for all of us. It is a plea to cultivate empathy, to challenge prejudice, and to stand up against injustice wherever it may arise. It reminds us that the fight against hatred is an ongoing one, requiring constant vigilance and a commitment to human rights for all. The laughter of Helen with her granddaughter, the quiet strength in Maxwell's eyes, the unwavering resolve in Rose's voice. These are the enduring images of a generation that refused to be silenced, a generation that transformed their pain into a powerful plea for a better future. Their stories are a testament to the power of memory, a beacon guiding us towards a world where such atrocities are truly consigned to the past, never to be repeated. The future, they remind us, is not predetermined. It is shaped by the choices we make today. By remembering their experiences, by honoring their resilience, and by actively working towards a more just and compassionate world, we ensure that their legacy lives on, a perpetual flame of hope and a constant warning against the darkness. If you enjoy stories like this, consider subscribing. Most people watching aren't subscribed yet.